Okay, we're going to finish up Excel Project 1 today, do a little review of what we already know, and probably get done early so you have time to go out and frolic in the leaves that are falling. So let's take a look at what we're doing, and we will complete our wonderful document. So I'm going to be starting up Excel, remembering my previous project that I was working on, going to my Smart Frangold Real Estate, opening that up for my section 2. And here is my project. We have given it a merged and centered title. Remember how we did that? We selected some cells and we did a merge and center. You can select cells in more than just one row. We just selected this row of cells across the top. Remember, we could have easily just moved what we had in A1 and put it, what looks like about D1 would work. But depending on how we adjust our other columns, it might not be centered anymore if I just left it over here in D1. So merging and centering guarantees as I adjust my cells, it will stay centered above my chart. If ever I have a cell that it gets too small, if it's text, it'll just get blocked, part of the text. But watch what happens to numbers if my column gets too small. I'll zoom in here. If my column gets too small for the numbers turn into hashtags. We used to call these pound signs. All you have to do, if you see that, double click on the edge of the column up in the gray and it will fit it, or you could manually adjust your column width. So don't panic when you see the hashtags. That just means your column isn't large enough to show them. Okay, we ended last time by formatting these rows into what cell style? Cell style of heading 1. And we also applied heading 1 style to this. We have some more cell styles that we'd like to apply, such as a total row. Let's select this total row and let's apply a cell style to that one. Coming up here, and we have a cell style of total. We would also like to apply that to this row, but I'm going to do it a slightly different way. Since this cell is selected and it has the total cell style, I'm going to use my format painter and format that same total cell style to that row. Remember, when I apply a style, it does not affect the contents of the cell. It only affects how it is being displayed, the formatting of the cell. If I click off of that, I will see I have the little total cell style applied to that. I would also like to apply a different style to the net. And now that is a very important number, the net income for the month, and then the net income for the year down here, projected. And let's apply a cell style of, let's go way to the bottom here, the accent 6 green. Remember, this is a theme color that's being applied. Because it's a darker background, we make the font white. So now we've applied some styling to our cells. It's looking pretty good, but let's apply some alternating color as well. Here's how to do that. I'm going to apply a light green to this cell by selecting through the cells. And remember, the thick plus is selecting. If I'm ever on the edge of a cell, it'll become a double arrow. That means I'm going to move what I'm in. Don't use the double arrow. That moves your cell around. That's going to mess you up. Don't want to do that. And of course, it won't let you copy into a merged cell. Remember, the fill handle is only when we want to copy the formula. The large, wide, plus selects. Click and drag. Now I want to apply a fill. That's not over here in cell styles. It's right over here in the font. And I'm going to choose a fill style of a light green. The lightest green available to me here in the theme color, accent lighter 80%. The next row, let's apply a darker green by selecting through that one and applying a darker green fill. Don't want to get too dark or the number is hard to read. Let's make the middle green. Now I could do that over and over again now on these other numbers, but I'm going to show you a better way. I have alternating colors applied to 2 rows. I select those 2 rows now, and let's try the Format Painter. See if it will do what I want. Let's try Format Painter, and let's Format Paint over these rows, and look at that. I applied alternating color and then Format Painted those 2 rows. So I can do some nice alternating color very easily, and all I had to do was color 2 rows. And remember, the key was when I did a Format Paint, I had the 2 rows selected. I think I could have just applied 2 cells. Let's try that. Let's do a Format Paint just from those 2 cells. I think that will do the same thing. Yes, it does. So Format Painter is a very nice thing to do. Just for a little bit of extra knowledge here, I'm going to do it one other way. I'm going to select 2 cells, and I'm going to do a Control-C copy. And now I'm going to select through these, and I'm going to do a slightly different way. I'm going to do a paste formatting. It's the same as my Format Painter, but that paste special is a nice thing to know about, the paste special. I'm going to go ahead and open the paste special dialog box to show you I can choose to just paste the formats of what I have copied. And you have all these other paste special options. So paste special is a really nice thing to know. You can use the Format Painter, but paste special gives you lots of options. And look, I can do formulas and numbers, but not text. I can paste the column widths. I can paste everything except borders. Lots of options in your paste special. In this case, I'm just going to paste the formats, and I click OK, and it pastes the alternating colors. So nice way to format a table. Now we're going to learn later that I could have done here by using a format style, formatting a table with a particular alternating color style. But we know how to do it manually now. But later we'll learn this is a pretty nice way to do it as well. The thing about that is if I add more rows, it'll keep alternating. I think if I add more rows here, I don't think it will keep the alternating color because I did it by hand. Okay, so I have alternating colors. It's looking pretty, and my management is pretty happy because they like colors and good titles. But my accountants, when they look at this, they're not happy because accountants like to see numbers in proper accounting format. And these numbers are not accounting format. So let's select through at least this January to the commission numbers, the top row of our income. Let's put these numbers in what we call accounting format, and that's where this little section comes in handy. I have current accounting number format where I can decide what currency if I chose this little down arrow, but we're going to go with the default currency of dollar. Watch what happens when I choose accounting number format. It puts a dollar in front of it, and it puts a comma in the thousands place, and automatically lists the cents after the decimal. And don't panic when I see September going all hashtag. Just double click on that column width, and it auto fits. Notice that the currency symbol is left aligned with a little space there. And if I adjust the width of that, it'll keep the currency symbol on the left side. Double click and it auto fits. Now these other numbers, if we put all of these numbers in currency format, actually I could do a select all and put everything in currency format, and it would, let me do a select all again. There. If I put everything in currency format, it's way too noisy. So I don't want to do that. I'm going to Control Z back to just the top row currency format. So let's do that same thing. Let's apply currency format to just the top row, the rent row, all the way out to the total row, total column. Apply currency format to that. And I think they want us to apply currency format to, let's see if we got it right. I think we want to apply currency format to the rest of it. So let's go back to formatting. Make sure I get it right here. I think they want us currency format total rows. Yes, they would like the total rows also be in currency format. So I'm going to select through the total row and apply currency formatting to that. I'll zoom out a little bit and apply currency formatting to that total row. And notice it doesn't matter whether you apply currency format to a text. It doesn't affect text. It only affects how the number is displayed. So whether or not I have currency applied to a text cell is meaning it doesn't matter. And apply currency formatting to that net row. Now those rows are looking good. The rest of those we don't want the currency, the dollar sign everywhere. So this row we'd like to select, and instead of the currency format, let's choose the comma format. Comma style. And there it just puts the extra decimals, and now my numbers are nicely lined up. Now my accountants are happier to look at this table. I'm going to apply the same thing to these numbers. Apply comma format to these numbers. If I've ever doing anything different, like doing scientific numbers where I'm calculating numbers out past the decimal places, I can actually increase my decimal places as far as I want by clicking increase decimal here. And I can go back to 2 or Control Z back to where I had started. Or I can just say reapply comma format, go back to 2 decimal. Just for fun now, let's do a little exploring in this number format. These options are available to you. Remember that knowing these extra options gives you a lot more knowledge than your average person. Remember how I got there? This little lower right number format. I have lots more options available to me in the format cells. If it's a date, apply a particular date style to it. If it's custom, I can apply lots of styles. And there's the currency. And notice I can even apply a currency that has negative, show me in red whether when it's a negative number. Put in parentheses when it's a negative number. And how many decimals do I want to show in currency format? I can apply lots of other options. Remember how I'm not going to apply, I'm going to just cancel. But those options are available right here. So if you're ever given an option that you don't know where it is here, if it's not here, just open that little number option. Lots of possibilities there. Okay? And there we have a wonderful looking table. It's pretty colors, nice title. Now if I want to auto fit all my columns, the quickest way is Control A and then double click on any column, edge of any column, and it auto fits my columns. Remember, if I ever want to adjust the width of several columns, I could double click and auto fit only those columns. If I want those columns to have a specific width, any of those columns that I adjust, they will all get that same width that I have selected. Because they're selected, any width I apply applies to the 4 selected. Auto click or adjust the column while they're selected, they all get adjusted. Double click and those that are selected get auto fit. I can do the same thing with rows, but we do it more with columns most of the time. Now comes a little more eye candy. Accountants are going to be happy with this page. They look at this real estate budget and they see, well, where are we spending most of our money? And because notice how when I zoom in, sometimes you'll get the fitting doesn't work. It's only because I changed my zoom level. An accountant will look at these numbers and say, oh yeah, I can see that rent is the biggest part of our expenses. And the next biggest expense is utilities. They look at the numbers. But management, unless you if you give them more than like 3 numbers, management, their minds just fog over. They don't understand. So we need to give management a picture of the relative spending in the different areas. Then they'll really understand our spending. So we need to create a pie chart. So they have a visual evidence or visual display of our expenses across the year. So we want a pie chart that has these values as the labels on our slices of the pie, and these values to be the actual relative sizes of the slices of the pie. So I want a pie chart, and I need this selected and this selected. But I need to select them both. So I select through this and then Control select through these numbers. Now, notice I have the exact same number of rows selected here as I do here. If you don't select the same exact rows, the pie chart will not work. So I select the titles that are going to be on my slices of pie. I select the numbers that will represent the size of the slice. And now I go to Insert. And I could go to Recommended Charts and see what it recommends. I'll bet you it should recommend a pie chart. Yes, indeed, it recommends a pie chart, although it has other pie charts. So let's choose a pie chart, not from here, but let's choose a pie chart from here. Pie chart, and let's choose a 3D pie chart. And it pops a pie chart right down there, right on top of my spreadsheet. You'd think it would at least put it to the side of it, but it trumps right over my spreadsheet. Let's get this over on a new worksheet by clicking or right-clicking on my pie chart, and let's move chart. Right-click, move chart. Click on move chart, and I choose new sheet, and let's give that new sheet a name. Let's call it projected expenses chart. Projected actually not expenses, estimates, a projected estimates chart. I don't think it does spell checking on tab titles, so spell it correctly to be professional, and I click OK, and watch what happens. It will automatically create a new spreadsheet, not a new spreadsheet, a new sheet in my workbook, and if I ever want to go back to my table, I just click on that little tab and it takes me back to my table. Since we have that nice name on that tab, let's change this name to be better than sheet 1. Let's double click on that tab and let's call it monthly estimate table. So just to name a tab, just double click and it lets you edit the title of that. Double click, I can edit the title. Double click. All right, let's go back to our pie chart now. It's looking pretty lame right now. Let's apply a different style to that. By selecting it, click, and let's make sure we have selected just the chart. We have the selection handles all the way around. Let's now go to chart design, and we can choose a different chart style. Lots of styles available. As I hover over it, it gives me a view of that under chart design. And let's go ahead and choose, they would like us in the book to choose chart style 6. I can hover over until I click, it doesn't select it. Now it's selected. We are missing a title, so let's go ahead and click on title. It's not a placeholder. I have to select that text and replace it by double clicking or triple clicking. And now putting in the text monthly projected finances. I can select all of that text, Control A while I'm inside editing, and let's increase the size of that title. On the Home tab, I believe I could select the specific size. If I were given a size, I could choose that size. I think I could right-click. Yeah, I can right-click, adjust my font there, and then I can choose my font size there too. But I think the Control Shift greater than. And now I can also adjust the position of that. That gets a little awkward. If I think I just, yeah, that doesn't let me adjust. Once I click, I can adjust. Now the clicking and moving is a little tricky. Right now, notice I can't click and move it now, but I have to click it once and then hold, and then I can move it. So clicking, sometimes, let's see if that will do it. Nope, click and move. You have to click off of it and then come back, and then you can adjust your title location. There's lots of other things I can do to make this pie chart look a little better. One thing that's horrible about this is this tiny little color legend can't tell at all what color their different ones are referring to. So up here on the plus, I can add chart elements such as data labels. On the plus, check data labels. And there's also a little arrow to the right of that that lets me choose how my data labels are displayed. Let's choose data callout for my data labels and see what my other options show. Some show just the number. Outside end is pretty good. Best fit or data callout. Let's try outside end. But let's do even more. I see numbers there, and that's going to make my accountants happy. But I'd like to know what expense that is in that section of pie, because I can't tell very well from there. So I can go to more options. So I displayed outside end, but also go to more options. And now I can choose in my label options not only to display the value, but also the category name. And there shows each category now. They're kind of crowded over here. So I'd like to adjust the position of those. And this is where the clicking gets kind of weird. If I click on this, and not let go the first time I click it, I can adjust its position. Click on that one. You can't click once and then move it. Once you click, see, it doesn't let you move it. I get the double arrow, but that means I adjust something else. Don't want to do that. So I click once and hold when I want to adjust its position. So click once and then click again, and lets me adjust the position of that one little guy. Click once, adjust position. If I ever decide to change any option here, my location may change. So label options, text options, and that formatting changed. Let's go back to here. Data labels, more options. There is under the chart section, I can choose what gets displayed and how it shows. Show leader lines, I think that's helpful. Legend key. These things can give you a little refinement of how your pie chart is displayed. Yes?
Is there any way to move the actual chart, like the diagram itself?
No. I tried that. It doesn't change. I think I can, you grab these, it's like, what good are these?
I move the legend.
Yeah.
Make more space on the side, but I realize.
Yeah. What you can do, I'm going to get rid of my legend. I can come over here and click on it and just delete it. And then it gives me more room. But notice that's kind of messed up there.
Yeah.
You can move certain things, but it's a little tricky. You have to click and move. You can't click once and then try to move. You can grab a piece of the pie, and watch how this works. Again, the click sequence is critical. I can click once on the pie. I see handles everywhere. I click again, and now this slice of the pie can be exploded away. I can separate pieces if I want to emphasize them. So how you click it's kind of a strange behavior, but you learn it after a little practice. Click once on that. All my callouts are different. I can bold them by Control B now. I think, I can make all my callouts bold. If I come back to one and drag it, I'm allowed to adjust that one. And if I think I unbold that one, only that one gets affected. So it's a little bit odd behavior, but after a while you get used to it after playing with it some. You can't go past the boundaries, and
I figured it out.
You can adjust pieces. Did you figure out something?
So it's if you click on the very edge of it.
Out here?
Like the box, like there's a separate smaller box for the whole pie chart, but it's a very small window of clicking space.
So see how I exploded the whole thing? You can do lots of things with your pie, but it depends on, you basically just have to play with it to figure out what's happening. You can adjust this, position them inside the little pie chart sheet. And remember, the pie chart is on a separate sheet. Lots of options. If I ever want to reset, I can go back to chart design and choose a different style. Notice the style doesn't undo all the exploding I've done, but it does apply another style to it, and it may throw that legend back in there, and I can come back and adjust. So some of the styles, even if you've done some customization to it, it leaves some of that, but it can get pretty messed up. Like that's kind of useless, piling the names right on top of the pieces of pie. But this has a lot of options. The main thing is, you know that you can insert a pie chart that represents the data. And remember that data, if I ever change the data in here, my pie chart will automatically readjust the slices of pie. Just for fun here, let's have this big slice of pie there. Let's just change that number. Let's just manually change that to be some, let's just manually type in 3,000. Come back here. That slice of the pie automatically got smaller. I can come back here and undo that, Control Z, and my slice of pie got back to the original 18,000. So nice features of pie charts, and this is something that management can understand. Oh, look, those two biggest slices, those are the things we might want to think about when we talk about where we need more spending or more careful monitoring of the spending, or work out a better deal. We need more of this. Let's charge, or let's negotiate our rent that we're paying, because that's the biggest part of our expense. Okay, so at this point, you have a pie chart, your chart here. Now it's time to do a little bit of practice with formulas, just to give you some really good handle on some of the basics of Excel. So let's click on the plus here to make a new worksheet. We're going to do a practice worksheet, a very basic thing, and we're going to give it the title, double click on your tab, and let's call it Checkbook Practice. Something that back in the day, when you had a bank account, you didn't just go online to look at your balance. You kept a little book in your pocket of your checking account, and it was your record of your checking account. You keep track of your check number. You would have a description. I think you'd have a date. I'm going to insert a column to the left of this. I think you would have a date. Let's go ahead and put date. Check number, a description. That would be a larger width column. And then we would have whether or not we had a deposit or a withdrawal. And then we would keep track of our running total of the amount of money we had in our account. And we would do this math by hand, can you believe it, with a hard copy pencil or pen, and keep it in our pocket or purse. So let's see how this would work. We'll ignore the date for now. Let's put in we don't have a check number for our initial deposit. And the initial deposit is going to be $11,000. So our total that we have in our account, of course, would be $11,000. Well, let's not type 11,000. Let's have it be equal to what's over here in cell D3. So I can just say equal D3, and that just means whatever is in this cell is the same as my initial deposit. I can do that for a formula. I don't have to do any math. I can just say what's in this cell is the same as what's in that other cell, and it shows that number. Now, since we're going to be dealing with numbers in these columns, let's apply formatting to these columns even before I put numbers in them. Let's automatically apply comma formatting. Notice it doesn't affect my titles very much. It does put a little space around them, but the comma formatting will only apply if I type a number in these cells, even before I type something in there. So if I type 11 in there, it automatically will get 11.00 formatting applied to it. Now let's make this work for us. Let's do our first check number 1000. We bought a car. We bought a very cheap car for $2,000. And now we want Excel to do the calculation for us of what the total would be. And let's write that formula with a equal this cell F3. I just click on it to get the address, minus my withdrawal amount. Remember, if you're ever doing a formula, you want to hit enter before you start clicking anywhere else, or your formula will get messed up. Hit enter after you get the correct formula, and now it calculates the correct total for the next month. And I didn't have to do the work, although it wasn't that hard of a math. Now let's make another deposit. We got our work check from Walmart. And we made a deposit of $2,000. We worked really hard that month. Same amount as the price of my car. What would the formula be? Well, it would be the previous amount in the row above me plus that deposit that I made. Oops. Previous amount plus that deposit I made, which is over here in D5. Now, I would like my checkbook to automatically be doing this calculation for me whenever I decide to put in a deposit or a withdrawal. So let's put a formula in here for what should be in here anytime I make a deposit or withdrawal. Well, the formula is going to be the cell above me, in this case, F5, plus any possible deposit minus any possible withdrawal for that same row. And watch what happens now when I do come and make another payment, check in 1001. And let's see, it'll be a food. We bought some food for $120. Oh, wrong column. $120. I hit enter, and it immediately does the calculation of that month's total. Well, let's go ahead and do this for any future withdrawals or deposits by using my wonderful little fill handle. I grab the fill handle, and I can fill down as long as I want to towards the end of my checkbook. And any deposit or withdrawal I make, let's go ahead and make another deposit. My paper route. I earned $200. As soon as I hit entered, notice my total will automatically be updated. Made 200, now I'm back above 11,000 in my checkbook. Now it gets a little annoying that I see this running total in the future even though I haven't put a number in there. So let's do something that we're going to learn here. Let's work ahead a little bit. Let's apply some kind of formatting to these numbers that they only show when it's been updated from the number above it, meaning there has been a deposit or withdrawal entered here. So I'm going to select all of these future cells, and I'm going to apply a conditional formatting. Let's apply the conditional formatting just to this cell for now, and then we'll copy it down. So I'll choose this cell, and let's go to conditional formatting. We're just going to give you a preview of conditional formatting. Click conditional formatting, and we're going to apply a new rule for formatting. What we want to do is hide the font by making it white when this number is the same as above, meaning I haven't done any new withdrawal or deposit. So I can apply a new rule under conditional formatting. And the rule is format cells that contain. And when this cell is the same as the cell above it, in this case, it would be F7. If this number is the same, equal to F7, and I have to put an equal F7 in front of that, then the format that I'm going to apply will be a color of white. I might be able, can I choose a transparent color? I don't think I can choose a transparent color. I can't set a transparency. I can only apply the white color. Font color white. And I click OK. There it will show me that when this cell is equal to the one above it, it will have a white font. And I click OK. And now that number disappears. And let's go ahead and do the fill handle now, which will keep copying the formula and the formatting now all to these other cells. Now watch what happens if I make another I spent some more money, 1002, check. And we're going to buy some gas for the car, spending $53. As soon as I hit enter, now the total is different than the one above it, and the formatting goes to the default of black font. So conditional formatting has been applied now to those other cells. They still all have the same formula, but conditional formatting keeps it hidden until I have a new total for this row. So now you know conditional formatting and a standard format for a formula. This works because it's addressing the cell above me, adding any possible deposit, and a blank cell is the same as mathematical 0, withdrawing a number that's there, and showing that total. The conditional formatting checks to see if it's a different total in this than what it was, or if it's the same as what it was, hide it. But if it's different, it will not hide that font anymore. So conditional formatting is hiding these rows. I can actually tell that it's there if I apply a different fill color. I'll see that that white font is hiding the number. So the number is there, it's just being hidden because it has the same color as the background. So one thing to remember here, I can apply comma formatting to cells. It does have a slight effect on the text. See, watch the description will get a slight space change. It puts a little padding around it, but that's not a major change to the text. But if I have comma formatting to that, and I decide, oh, I'm going to put a number here, 1, 2, 3, then you will see the effect of comma formatting. And let's see if there's anything else to practice here. How about, let's do a little bit more practice with conditional formatting, because that is something that's a little more challenging. Let's, in this checkbook practice, let's just put some numbers down here. Let's put a -1 and -2 and a 0 and a 1 and a 2. Let's apply conditional formatting. Format negative as red background and positive with green background. And on this cell, I'm going to wrap the text by choosing wrap text so I can see my instructions in that little cell. Let's practice this conditional formatting. I select through the numbers that I want to apply conditional formatting to. Go to conditional formatting, new rule, and cells that contain a cell value less than 0. I can just put a number 0 there. The format to apply for cell value less than 0 of those cells selected will be format of fill of red. And I'm going to choose the red. Click OK. There's the format I'll see if it's a less than 0, and I click OK. And those numbers automatically turn red. How do I make the same apply that they have a green background when they're positive? I have the same cell selected, and I go back to conditional formatting and add another rule. I'm going to have 2 rules applied. I add another rule, cell that contain. This time it's cell value greater than or equal to, because positive 0 is considered a positive number, greater than or equal to 0. And this time the format for greater than or equal to 0 will be format of green. I click OK and OK. And now anytime there is a positive number in there, it will have a green background. And I can actually change a number, put a 5 there, and it will automatically turn green because conditional formatting is applied. I can select through those cells again and check my conditional formatting by going to Manage Rules. And I can see that I have 2 conditional formatting rules applied. If it's greater than 0, it gets that format. if it's less than 0, it gets that format. I can play with my conditional formatting rules. Now this is just a preview of conditional formatting. We're going to be doing some more of this in a future project, but I'm giving you a little heads up on this because this is a more difficult concept, so I want to hit it a couple times. We'll hit it now, and then we'll hit it again when we come to our project. That was just a little bit of practice. Lots more things you can do. If you're familiar with Excel, or if you want to learn more about Excel, you're finding this pretty easy, start exploring the functions that are available to you in Excel. There are whole categories of functions that you can explore and learn. All the power of Excel is in so many functions, especially the financial ones can help you determine your mortgage payments, or is an investment a good investment. Lots of cool stuff you can do here. Alright, so this project is done. You can save it and upload it to Schoology, and you can get out early, enjoy the fall colors, the crisp, cool air of the morning, frolic in the falling leaves, and have a great weekend.